Testing, testing. Hello? Okay, we're good. Testing. We'll get started in like 4 minutes. Testing, testing, testing. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to April 4th, the Team Lead Workshop meeting. So, before we start, we'll just have a few announcements today. Actually, we have a lot more announcements, so do keep on the lookout for that. And then we also have our Team Lead Workshop, which is coming up right after this, and then our social, which is VJDM Madness. If you do not know what VJDM Madness is, well, we'll tell you. Don't worry. So, first things first, let's do attendance. We got a lot of snacks today, so hopefully if we get more attendance, we can get even more snacks. If you're also watching it from online or on Twitch, do also scan the QR code as well.
Guys, I don't think they ask for a name. Just keep filling it out. Oh, they do ask for a name. Oh, crap. Well, use your friends' names. Like, you know, it's like ask for another ballot, you know? Like, they can't say no.
They can. Did everyone do the attendance? Joseph, did you do the attendance?
I'm literally doing it right now.
Good.
Oh my god, he snapped. Oh my god, why is it so It's done now.
All right, it's done. Cool. All right, so next week is a big week for us. It is the final team updates meeting. So our team leads will give one last update on their games before the final demo. So please attend that as well because, you know, we want to see what the updates we had before we actually see the games and play them for the final demo, which we'll reveal in the next slide. But we will start at 4:45 as usual in this room. But afterwards, we will be going over to AMC for the Minecraft movie. I've been told it is a cinematic masterpiece. So, I know we made the announcement before. That was an interest form to see who wanted to go, and a lot of you wanted to go, and that's good. We want as many people to come as possible. So, do sign this QR code, which is an actual sign up, where you would Venmo Nick here. I think it was like $15.
Yeah, so Yeah, so this is a binding interest form. If you sign this, you are either yes going or you are no going. Right now, I am asking for $15. That is probably going to go down because there is going to be like a certain amount that comes off from everyone's ticket that is kind of going to be determined by how many people go. So you will be reimbursed, but I'm just asking, yes.
No,
Venmo me $15 because that will allow me to buy the tickets. But you will be reimbursed a certain amount. It will probably not be more than like $3 or $4, but you will get that money back. So.
Yeah, and depending on how much funding we get, we might also get some free tickets. And if you saw the announcement before, if on the interest form you were one of the first ones to put your name on it, you're more likely to get the free ticket if we do get some free tickets. So do keep that in mind, but still attend. We'll try to subsidize the price as much as possible so everyone can go, no problem. We also have a carpool dock on that sign-up sheet. Please put your name on there. If you are a driver, please put in your car and the number of passengers you have. If you are not a driver, do put your name on the list. I think there's a little section somewhere in the bottom. Just put your name there and we'll figure out where to put people in afterwards. So don't worry too much about that. All right, speaking of which, the end of semester demo is here. So, it is a bit different this semester. It's going to be on a Saturday, April 19th from 5 to 7 at the class atrium. If you're wondering why it's on Saturday, that's what we got. It is what it is. But, like before, you get to play the games of the past semesters with free food. The food that we're going to give is different. What food is it going to be? You better tend to find out. It won't just be pizza, hopefully. You can also pick up your t-shirts if you have ordered them. We'll have all the t-shirts from the past semesters there. So if you did buy a t-shirt before but still have yet to pick it up, that's where you pick them up. And again, the end of semester demo is our big event of the semester where you can talk with team leads, leadership, alumni, and your fellow VJ students and members. We highly ask everyone to attend, play the games, and just have a good time. It is the end of the semester. This semester has been pretty tough for a lot of us, so we hope this event is a bit more relaxing and also you can just see what people are up to. So yeah, that will be on Saturday, April 19th, and thank you to Jenny for the awesome poster. All right, our t-shirt contest is still going on. It is going to end this Sunday, April 6th at 11:59. Again, the requirements are the same, and we still need designs. So if you are interested in making a design and getting a free t-shirt along with it, please sign up to the contest. The QR code is on screen. And if we do get multiple designs, we will have a voting to see who gets what, which design wins out among the general populace. But we need designs before we can have voting. So if you can draw a t-shirt, please draw a t-shirt. Yes. Is less than 2. Huh? Yeah, submit a design.
Let's think about it this way. If you're the only person who submits a design, you win by default and you get a free shirt. So there's no risk to entering a design.
All right. You want to talk about?
Yeah, I do. Okay. So, if you have not heard, VGDev Gaming Book Club is a thing. This is being organized by Jade, who's not here today, sadly. But we are starting with April's game, which is going to be Rain World. If you want to join, you should buy it today because there's a Steam sale, and it's like really discounted. It's 65% off, so it's less than $10 when it normally costs $25. There's a thread in social if you want to get more info. This is a really cool way to experience a game together. We've gotten a lot of feedback in leadership about people who want to talk about games more and talk about what games do that they really like, right? So this is going to be our first opportunity to do this. If you have questions, reach out to Jade. She's really the one organizing this. It's at Controlled Chaos on Discord, and she's going to be your main point of reference. Cool.
And last but not least, we have Games Fest 2025. This is something that is hosted by GT Esports. It will occur on the same day as our final demo. So if you want to find something to do on Saturday, this is a good event to attend. It's all-day tournaments for competitive PC and console games. Again, it's hosted by GT Esports, but we are running a booth there as well. We might need volunteers, but we still haven't decided on that just yet. But just know that we will be having a presence there. It is 9:30 to 7:30 at the IC. So again, feel free to drop by and see what's all about. And thank you to GT Esports for helping us organize this as well. All right, wait. There is no wheel. This I forgot to update the slide. But yeah, I think that's time for the team lead workshop.
Yes. Do you want to explain the social before the workshop?
After the workshop. All right, so let's go on to the team lead workshop. All right, give me a second. All right. All right, so welcome to the team lead workshop. This slide deck has been used, I think, for like 6 semesters now. But thank you to Allison for making the original presentation, Chase and Alex for adding on to the presentation, and Jade and I, we made some additional edits as well, just to kind of refine it more for the current day. So, you want to be a team lead. That is your first, no, it's not your first mistake. So if you want to be team lead, I think the first thing we want to talk about is quality versus experience. So what does that mean? Well, it means be not afraid. Don't immediately think of leading a VGDev game, or even just a game in general, if you want to be more like, if you want to go on a solo venture or be part of like a small indie group. Do not be afraid of leading a game and thinking that it's some daunting task. It is hard to lead, but it should also be fun. And I noticed from personal experience that, like, especially if you're leading for the first time, you're gonna feel scared. But understand the benefit of VGDev. VGDev at its core is very low stakes. We emphasize more on just experimenting, trying things out, and just having fun along the way. Again, you're not tied to some contract. You're not tied to like any money or like financing from like a loan or anything. You're here just to make games, and that's what we truly do. So again, to be a lead, we're not asking for the most talented, the most charismatic, the most outgoing. You know, you are better than you think, because again, we hope that being a part of VGDev is about learning the experience and contributing. That's too loud. Yeah, so we think that VGDev is an experience where you can try things out and just have fun along the way. So understand that it is okay to make bad, quote unquote, bad art. Again, the quality of your game does not matter. Just because you see past games be like something, oh my god, that looks so difficult, so much work, I don't think I can do it. No, you can. And your first time being a team lead might, you might hit some hurdles along the way, but again, that is part of the process. So, what is the job of being a team lead? Well, you are the core of the team. You are the final decision maker. You are the person with the vision altogether, and you are, most importantly, the team manager. So what you'll do is you'll be communicating with us in VGDev leadership. You'll pick up the slack of any members that, like, let's say the tasks are not, let's say you had tasks for 2 weeks and it's still not being done. You might be the one to pick up the slack along the way. And most importantly, you're the one to integrate everything together. So again, just because you have a lot of different tasks and parts kind of all spread out, you are the one to glue them all together into a functional game. So, disclaimer, as the team lead, you will most likely be finishing up 50% or more of the game. Disclaimer, you should only allocate 20% of the total work to yourself. The other 30% will come from drop task, integration, do not underestimate integration, bugs, build issues, etc. So what we mean by this is you're going to be making the most of the game yourself regardless of how many people work on your game. But don't have that be the initial mindset you have when you come into being a team lead. Understand that this should be a collaborative effort. It should not be a one-man job. But understand that you will be picking up the slack if if things don't turn out as well as you think. And again, even the most successful VGDev games that we've seen still suffer through this issue. So again, it is not just you. It is just a part of being VGDev, part of being part of the projects. So at the end of the day, your main role on the project is as a producer. So what that means is not only are you doing a lot of the work just by yourself, you need to make sure you are delegating and managing tasks altogether. One of the roles that we kind of don't have as part of VGDev, like as a general member, is being a producer, because you can be a programmer, you can be an artist, you can be a writer, a designer, a 3D modeler, a musician, all of that. But really, we don't really have production as a member role that you can get. Well, that's because if you want to truly be a producer, you've got to be a team lead, because team leads by nature are producers. So you're gonna be scheduling meetings. You have to remember to DM people back if they have questions on tasks or if they haven't done their task or you haven't gotten feedback in a long while. You're gonna make sure that deadlines are being met because again, we still have milestones, we still have deadlines that we have to keep because again, we understand that your classes, work, and other obligations exist. So having a healthy work-life balance, school work-life balance is still something we truly want to make sure to emphasize. And understand this. When being a team lead, are you okay with the workload being all semester long? Make sure you balance your schedule and everything when you're considering that. So, the first part is planning. You will save yourself with this. It's good to plan early. And what we mean by that is, let's say you have an idea. So what should your next steps be? Well, you want to plan and organize your semester, you want to make a GED, and then you want to make a demo. Well, let's say you already have a demo. Well, good, you're already one step done. Now you just need to plan to organize your semester and have your GED. And let's say you have a minimum viable product. What we mean by a minimum viable product, or MVP, is something a little bit more than a demo, something that if you were just to release this right now, it could stand on its own by itself. That's good. Still plan and organize your semester, document your work, and make a GED. So I think the most important part of being a team lead is first having a vision. What we mean by having a vision is if your game doesn't really have a vision to go off of, it's kind of hard to tell people, hey, this is what the game's about. You need to know what you're making, and the team members need to know what you're making. If you don't have a vision, then again, if I'm a team member, I'm like, okay, but like, what am I going to be spending the next semester on, ultimately? So when we say have a vision, you're going to ask these 3 questions. Why this game, and why now? Because you probably see that on Steam or in itch, you'll see a lot of games with a bunch of different varying concepts, and you feel like almost everything is done. So if you are pitching a game to us, why this game and why are you pitching it to us? And why do you want other people to work with? That's why being a part of VGDev is we want to connect both people who want to create games and also people who want to be a part of the game development experience. So this is something I added. Vision can be more powerful than effort. So you might not be the most talented, but that doesn't mean you can't be a team lead. If you are very passionate or have a really strong vision or strong ideal of what your game wants to be, that can be more powerful than effort because you can hobble together a game, but as long as everyone understands, okay, this is the finish line, here's what we need to do, then we are more able to give you resources, more able to understand, okay, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. So without a vision, you don't have a game. So, and I feel like everyone here can think of a game they want to make. So if you have a vision, okay, not you. So make sure to have a vision. I feel like that's the most important part. Why is this not working now? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's get started on your team lead experience. So first things first, you want to have a GED. A GED is a game development document. Basically, it's a general document that kind of summarizes the entire game development process from top to bottom. You probably saw this early in the semester when you saw the new team leads in this semester kind of show off their game to say, okay, here's our GED. If you want to know more about it or have a really quick look at and see okay, this is what we're making. The GED is kind of the overall document that we all see. You then also want to have a task planning tool. So what that is basically a tool that we use to kind of give tasks. Basically, they kind of task cards. Be like, okay, here's a task. Here's what we need to do, and here's some references. We would offer Trello. In my experience, I think Trello was one of the best task planning tools for VGDev in particular. That is not paid, so don't use that. We have other options though. So I know Taiga is currently one of the more popular ones used right now, but there's also ClickUp, which is pretty good, but it needs a bit more fine-tuning on that. Miraboard is very popular for artists, and there's probably other task planning tools you can use. Don't use Jira. We're not that level just yet. Try to do something simpler, and also don't use the Microsoft Sheets or Google Sheets as your task planning tool. I've done it before. Unless you have a tight-knit group, I really don't recommend it because it is harder to kind of see the individual tasks. It's just not a good way to get people involved. Having a prototype and a demo is nice to have. Actually, I missed references. Having references is also nice to have because this is mainly for like art and music. Because let's say you're not an artist in particular, but you still have a particular art vision you want to go for. Have references. I remember when I led from Nava, and Esther was my Esther. Esther was my co-lead. He and I, we had art references from like RPG Maker games and Undertale as kind of our references. And the artists were able to really understand like, okay, this is what the art vision they're going for is. Obviously, you'd be like, okay, it's not exactly like that. I don't want a copy of this particular style. But having references will get people more aware of what to do than just plain text on words. Having a prototype and demo is really nice to have because if you're able to see the gameplay and play it with your own hands, that is a lot more effective than just describing it in words. Communication platform, we usually use Discord. I don't see really another alternative, but usually Discord is what we use. And then obviously the Google Drive folder for storing all the files and all that stuff. All right, so let's go into GDDs. So this is usually a good starting point. So if you want to be a team lead next semester, but don't know where to start, I would start with the GED. It basically allows you to write down what kind of things you want to do and make sure you have everything from a top level perspective. Also, if you want kind of the template for a GED that we usually use, or that that people usually use, we have one in the starter guide, I believe, in links and resources in the VGF server. So be sure to use that if you want kind of a reference. But you use this mainly as a tool for yourself rather than others, because everyone specializes in something. So having it written down can be able to see what you need to work on. Again, because it leads to blind spots, and the GD helps address these issues because you have to see everything and write everything down. You may know what you want your game to look like, but do you really know what your game Do you really know what your game's gonna look like? Can you communicate this to someone working your game? Can you take your nebulous ideas and polish them so they can tell someone else about it? So again, the GD is a comprehensive document. Basically, it allows you to be like, okay, do you want to work my game? This is a good overview of what we need to do. I will say the GD does fall out of date very quickly. I remember looking back at my old GDs, and I'm like, that game does not exist. I don't know what this GD is trying to make. So again, just understand that it is the preliminary document for the most part, but it's a good way to get started on your development process. I'm also going to turn off the music. I feel like it is very distracting. All right. So again, this is just an example of references. This is I think a mirror board. So again, it's a good way to kind of lay out what kind of your vision is. Again, for art, this is a really good way to have a way to help onboard people. So you have visual aids, mockups. Try to do as much as possible, even though it might not be used a lot during the actual VGF semester, because again, it gets people more excited. It gets people more, understand what the vision is overall. All right, this is one of our most important slides. So, scoping. So what we mean by scoping is, let's say you want to make a game, but like how much, or what do you want to make within this semester? So we recommend you start slow, keep the scope very low, and think about could you finish it on your own theoretically if you had to, because again, things can change throughout the semester. It's good to set deadlines because it's a great way to track progress. So if after like the second week, if the state machine isn't done yet, okay, then you're just gonna still have to work on that, but also the things that you're planning on afterwards. So again, you're gonna be like, okay, we may need to scope down as a result, which gets also to scoping down. Use the knowledge you have in the future, or use the knowledge you have in the present to decide the future of your game. So it's better to have, again, a functional game with not everything you want than trying to get everything you want and still not have a game. And it's good to keep things modular. So like we use like a Lego blocks example. So what we mean by that is kind of section things off into pieces. So let's say one side of the game. Let's say you had a platformer and the attacking mechanic isn't done. Well then, because if you modularize it, then you can just drop the attacking part of your gameplay and just keep the platformer aspect of it. All right, just to emphasize, start low, keep it low. Can you finish it on your own? Because again, things can change. Please start low. Please start low. please start low. We've seen from past semesters that almost every scenario, we have not seen a game scope up. We have seen most games scope down from their original vision. Again, it is part of the process. You want to make kind of the best game that you can possibly make, but it's better to start low and set your expectations right, because then you can organize better and be like, okay, here's what we want to do, here's what we want to do, here's what we want to do. Understand this as well. In past semesters, fall and spring have had two different kind of feelings in terms of how the game's environment is. Because a lot of first years and a lot of new members tend to join in the fall, that's usually where you get more people in the club, and that's where usually you get more members to work on your games. So in that case, you might want to scope a little bit higher, but again, don't go too far. And the spring, usually we have lower attendance in the fall, so again, you would want to scope down even more if you weren't selected in the fall, but were selected in the spring. So this is a kind of a good graph of the VGDev Georgia Tech semester. So again, you are still students at heart. So you are going to be doing schoolwork while you're making your VGDev game. Please plan around your Hell Weeks. Please understand, school will get really busy after M1. Please understand that milestones, they still exist, so you still need to plan around them. Understand that milestone 2 drop-off will occur. Well, what do we mean by milestone 2 drop-off? Milestone 2 drop-off is basically after milestone 2, your members just kind of leave. It happens a lot because a lot of times that's when students realize, oh, I need to lock in. I realize my grades are pretty bad. I need to focus on that more than anything else. And it's not just you, everyone at Tech thinks that. So as a result, we usually get the situation where you have like 80%, 90% of your game done before of your final game before M2 being this, and then after M2 you only get like 10% more done. Again, that is per usual for the GT semester. And also again, there's also the potential for personal life issues. Understand that is also a thing that you should also keep in mind as well. So how do we alleviate this? So some tips is you can bring in some new members near the end too. That is pretty rare, but we usually try to keep recruiting people. Leadership does try to get people more involved and throughout the semester. So we will have constant inflow of members. So if you're a team lead, please try to make them interested in your game as well. Keep things personal for members. Don't try to talk or don't be too inclusive in your don't try to not be inclusive to your members. Basically, try to feel like they're a crucial part of your team as well. So obviously you want to do this regardless. But if your members feel like, oh, I'm not really, my team lead is only talking to me at the meeting and that's it, I don't know if I'm a part of this team. Try to make them feel like they're a part of the team is basically what I'm trying to say. And do plan for droplets and membership. So what we mean by that is, if you have a general task doc or a schedule, front load it mainly in the first half of the semester, and then understand that from M3 to M4 or the final demo, that's mainly for polish. And not because you've been doing polish during that time, it's because a lot of things you were supposed to do earlier are going to be pushed down there. So understand that as you work on your game. Okay. All right, so next up we're going to team management. So again, also we have team leads in the audience as well. So if you do want to interject and give your own feedback, team leads, do ask away. So in handling teams, there are kind of 4 aspects we wanted to kind of emphasize here. One is be organized. That's usually, have documentation, have know where things are, so that if, let's say you remember how do I set up my Unity? Then you can just guide them easily to the Unity setup tutorial. 2 is communication. Basically, keep talking to your members and get them involved. Don't be afraid to DM members. So let's say a task hasn't been done in a week or 2 and you got no response whatsoever. Don't be afraid to DM them. You will seem scary, and that gets to my 3rd point. You are scary. If you are a team lead, you are scary, and that's just inherently the kind of feeling of being a team lead or a leadership position. I remember when, my friend Neil here, so I'm working on his game, but I'm the president, but I still feel kind of intimidated to ask him questions because he's a team lead, it's his game. So there is that kind of feeling of, oh, because he's the lead, he's like, he makes the final decision, so it's a bit more scary or daunting to ask questions. No. That is something that everyone thinks inherently, no matter who they are. So as a team lead, understand that because you have that kind of scariness factor always like above your head, try to communicate. Don't be afraid to be a DM, try to be close with them, and try to be approachable in terms of like, okay, don't worry, here's what we can do. And 4, be ready to teach others. So especially if you're going to be pitching in the fall, you're going to get a lot of first years who probably haven't touched Unity. They haven't really done game dev. They're just here because, oh, I want to make a game. I think game dev is interesting. So you're going to be teaching them a lot. Hopefully not a lot, because hopefully us leadership are going to help you kind of refine, do the kind of the basic like setups. Because I know us, we will still be planning on doing like Unity workshops, Blender workshops, all that stuff to kind of get them like situated. But understand that they might be asking you questions about like, oh, how do I get started on this task for doing the shot menu? Well, you would probably not do the task for them, but you will also be like, okay, try using the canvas in Unity and try just messing around with that and get started on that. And that should hopefully get you started on kind of most of the way there. Again, please take care of yourself as well as a team lead. You are the key to making a good VGDev game. Without you, there is no game. Everyone here is in VGDev, probably are part of a team, and probably have attended these team meetings. Basically, there are many ways to do team meetings. You can do them weekly. That's what I usually used to do. But keep in mind that the team meetings are mainly used for the following reasons. One is to get updates on task progresses. Try not to do that often, because sometimes, most of the time, it's usually like, hey, what have you done the past week? And it's just like, oh, I had an exam. I didn't really do anything, but I'll get it done this Friday. That's usually what's going to happen in the updates. But again, don't be discouraged by the fact that like they need extra time. Sometimes things happen. Team meetings should also kind of engage members. I don't want to say people get bored very easily, but people do get bored very easily. So keeping them engaged is always a good strategy. You want to give out tasks during these team meetings as well. In the beginning, you're going to get the most amount of people in your team. So that's when you want to have all these tasks planned out and get ready to give away, so you can get started on the first day as soon as possible. Because again, time is still limited. You only have 3 to 4 months to make your game, so getting started as soon as possible is a good strategy as well. It's also a good time to encourage one another. So because everyone here is on the same boat in terms of like, okay, I'm a student, I need to do this task, I don't know what to do, I need help. This is also a good time to encourage other people to be like, hey, let me help you. And not just between the team lead and the member, but also between the member and the member themselves. So having these meetings where everyone is together is a good way to kind of encourage that kind of ecosystem. And also, it's a really good way to get clear communication, because again, because it's a planned time, you're more likely to kind of everyone to be there because, okay, everyone's going to be attending, so I won't feel as intimidated to ask questions because there's going to be other people there to ask questions as well. So having a planned meeting is also good for that. For ways to achieve results, we have co-leads and sub-leads. We can go into that after this. General meetings, sub-team meetings are usually the way to go. So the difference between those is a general meeting is for all different members of your team to be in the same meeting. Sub-team meetings are more of like, hey, artists, let's all gather together at this time on Discord, Monday, 7:30 p.m. And you can do that for each of your sub-teams. So for art, you can have the art sub-team meeting. You can have design and writing be another sub-team meeting. You can have programming be a sub-team meeting. You can have the musicians and the sound effects people be a sub-team meeting. That's basically a way you can organize that. You can have work meetings. This has been a very popular thing recently. So you probably noticed that a lot of teams this semester have work meetings on the weekends. That's a really good way of saying, hey, stop by in the Kulk. Let's just work on the game and chill. And we'll have snacks along the way. So that's a really good way to get attendance and also get people to come in and be like, hey, I have a question. Because having more opportunities for people to engage with the team lead is a good way for them to discuss more. Also social events, really good event. We try to have socials here every Friday. But if you want to host your own social events to kind of get members more engaged, do that as well. And there's also the obvious asynchronous updates. So the casual DM, the casual ping on Discord. Yes.
I will say about joint meetings, for anybody that needs to hear this, assume that none of the other leagues will reach out about wanting to do joint meetings. So if you want to do that and it's very fun, then you have to be proactive.
Yes, so you can do joint meetings because a lot of times towards the end of the semester, that's when like membership kind of drops off. Not because they're not still working on the game, but maybe they can't really meet because they have other obligations at that time. So you can do joint meetings by like collaborating with other teams to kind of have one larger meeting to kind of get a bigger people all grouped together. But again, be proactive. Sometimes the other team leads don't respond. I don't know what they have. All right. So, I think I mentioned this already before, but you are scary. You are the final boss. So, it doesn't matter if you are a first-year artist or a veteran programmer, your members will be scared of you. It is your responsibility to reach out to members and make sure they know what is going on. So, one of the big examples of this is you can self-assign tasks. Basically, you can have the entire list of tasks on your Taiga and say, all right, grab your tasks. If veterans will most likely pick it up. But if you're a first year or a newcomer, you don't know if you're going to be stepping on any shoes. So you're going to be like, I'm just going to wait it out. And the longer they wait it out, the more likely they're going to be disengaged and leave your team. So be assertive. Tell people what they want to work on. People actually like being given tasks, like a Canvas assignment. So, on that first meeting, maybe go alphabetical order. Be like, okay, what do you want to work on? What's your skill level? Or do you want a programming task? Do you want something easy, medium, hard? What do you want to do? So, again, it's better to be proactive in that than to be kind of laid back. And try different meeting styles. I have my go-to style, but again, my style is not for everyone, not for every type of game. My style is mainly used for slightly larger games that have a more 2D kind of aspect to it. Some games are not like that. Some games are Unreal 3D games, so they require a different format than, say, my type of game. So again, if you have any questions, ask away. And the most important part is, please remember to enjoy the experience. I've been yapping a lot about, here's the things, but at the end of the day, you don't really have to listen to this if you understand that you're here to make a fun game and have people enjoy making games. So if you're not enjoying this, we hope you do. We want it to be something fun to do, as something you can put on your resume, something you can tell people, oh my god, I made this. It should be fun. So, we will now go through some scenarios. So if you want to raise your hand and say what you would do in this scenario, and let's go. So, the demo is 3 weeks away, but someone couldn't finish their part. It is a part of the gameplay loop, but not critical because of schoolwork. So what would you do in this scenario? And please raise your hand if you want to respond to this. If not, I will pick someone deliberately. Yes? Cut that task from the game? Yeah. So yeah, again, scoping down and cutting is a very popular strategy, and we do recommend doing that, especially with the demo is only 3 weeks away. So, like right now, the demo is 2 weeks away. So, yeah, something you could do. Yeah. Anything else? What could you do besides scoping down? Yeah, Aiden.
Something like this kind of happened in Tetris City with the natural disasters, where it was a late addition, and so getting the disasters in themselves kind of was a stretch. And so what I ended up doing was sort of picking it up on my own and just sort of doing a minimal, copy of what work we already have and just essentially salvage it as much as
Yeah. Yeah, salvaging is a good strategy. I wouldn't rely that entirely for all types of games, but I think for Tetris City, it was a good idea to do that. Yeah. Again, sometimes if it's like, there is a 2D, 3D difference, and we will get to that later in the slides, but I think with a 2D game, you're more likely to get away with that than, say, a 3D game. But again, it is all based on the game. You have delegated tasks, but you're not seeing much progress on these tasks. Currently, it's still early on in the project, and you're not sure if any progress is being made. So as a team lead, what would you do in this scenario? Yes. In what way?
Make sure you guys sort of DA with different people on your project, just in the general thing. And you can also DM people who aren't like showing up that just to see if Sparks is actually.
Yeah. At the end of the day, DMing is the most effective strategy because you're directly calling out someone. And again, like 99% of the times, people will respond to DMs more than a ping on Discord. Like a general, like in like the art channel in your Discord server, and you like ping them like saying at artists, like tell me what you did in the thread or something. They're not as likely to react to that as say a DM because DM is more private, more personal. So again, yeah, asking DMs is a really good strategy. Anyone else want to add something to that? Okay. All right. You've had someone on a task for the past 3 weeks, but each time you have asked for an update, you have only gotten an I'm working on it or no reply at all. Okay, Vishnu. Reassign the task? Just right then and there? But it's only been 3 weeks. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, in Sylvie, we had someone who was making one of the songs, and I've only gotten like I'm working on it for like 4 weeks.
Okay. Why did I show up to this meeting?
Oh no! Wait,
Why did I show up, bro?
I'm not talking about you, Joseph. I wasn't talking about you.
Oh my god, bro, just oh my god, everyone jump
Yeah. But yeah,
Bro, I was a useless bomb.
but yeah, reassigning is pretty easy. But like, do you want to do reassigning immediately, or do you want to like talk to the? Yeah. I see. Good. Yeah. Yes.
I want to add on to that it might be prudent to, depending on the person, like generally you can talk to this person, probably know if it's feasible or not, but letting them know that hey, it's been a while. If you're in the middle of trying to transfer to someone else, make that like transparent to them. Like,
Yeah.
because then you don't want them to continue working on it, for example, because they actually are working on it, just very slowly, to the point where it won't get that time.
Mhm.
You don't want them to continue wasting their time on it, so that they can transfer to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And okay, so this is a pretty big slide section, but basically it's just tips and tricks. And other things that we couldn't really fit in the previous slides, just things that as leadership we have noticed within the past few years. So, ask questions. So, how the pitch process works is basically, if you want to be a team lead, great. We have a pitch form that releases before the semester starts, and basically you can submit your game pitch and kind of answer the questions that we ask you kind of in preparation for the interview. And we use the interview as a good way to kind of gauge what the game's about, who you are, because sometimes we see you for the first time. Like, we haven't seen you in VGF at all, but you're already pitching a game. Well, we need to know who you are before we accept you. So it's a good way for you to talk to us and for us to talk to you about who you are and what you want to do, and also answer some of the questions that we have in preparation for the semester. So because the pitch interview process is kind of, we try to make it be as transparent as possible, but you still will have questions. So if you have questions, some good sources are past team leads. They're in the room right now. Raise your hand if you're a current team lead or a past team lead. Raise your hand higher. Yes, you have resources around here. Ellie, were you a team lead? Oh, yeah. So yeah, you have team leads in the room right now that you can ask questions about, like, oh, I have this vision. Do you have any ideas of what to do? All that stuff. Past officers. Raise your hand if you're a past officer.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
Nick, lower your hand. You're a current officer.
But I'm also a previous officer.
Well, yeah, but that's different. Yeah. All right, so yeah, you have, Esther, raise your hand higher. Yeah, you have past officers who have done the, You have past officers who have done the interview process before, but they don't actively currently run the interviews. So if you have questions about the interview, any question, feel free to ask them. Again, we also have alumni who were past leadership on Discord. Feel free to DM them. Feel free to ask them in social, like, hey, I had a question. Can you answer? Can you like answer this real quick? Pretty easy to do that. Yes.
I mean, like, I pitched last semester, and I asked Alex from previous leadership to, like, come up with you, but, like, and now I'm here, so ask me.
Yeah. Classic, good example right here. But the best source will always be the current officers. So raise your hand if you are a current officer. Yes. Why are we the best source? Because we are the ones actually doing the interview. So the criteria changes based on the leadership. It's not just because we are biased or anything. It's just we always have our own preferences. For instance, I don't know the art side compared to Lee or Na. I probably know more about the music side than, say, the other team leadership. So understand that if you really want to grasp of what you need to do, or what questions that you expect, or if you have any questions you want to ask, the best answers are coming from us because, again, we are the ones going to do the interview. So you can ask VGF alumni, but they're not the final answer. Some of them have graduated 7 years ago. They probably don't know what VGF is really about. If they were to see VGF right now, they will say, what is this club now? Because again, the club keeps changing based on people, and that's just the process of being a single org. So ask them for help, ask them for a mock interview, ask them for advice, but understand that they're not the final answer. The best people to ask are past team leads, past officers, and the current officers right now. And I added this here. Feel free to DM me anytime for a quick look through of your GED or your pitch, or doing a mock interview. So I'm pretty free over the summer. So if you want me to take a look at it and ask questions or do a mock interview, I'm proud to do that. I won't do the full interview, and that's just because, one, I don't have that much time, and and two, this shouldn't be like we still want you to still do things by yourself and not expect my answer to be the final answer. Because again, as long as you feel proud of your pitch and have a strong vision, that's more than enough for us. But yeah, I am a resource as well if you want to ask. I don't know if the other leadership are as free, so ask them, but just know that at least for me, feel free to ask me anything if you need to.
And also you can probably, we all kind of help with that.
Yeah. So for me, if you have music, production, writing, design, and programming questions, ask me. Art, animation, Na, art as well, Lee and Nick, music.
Really? I would say like
I'm like more of an entrepreneur.
I would say if you have programming, low-key fun and vibes, but like, I would say programming, and if you have questions about the actual pitch and running the team, is probably
I would say
the help.
producing.
Yeah.
Too, like,
I do produce.
But yeah. Yeah. If you want to ask about any risk questions, ask Nick.
Turn on the charm,
If you don't have a section with your GED for RIBs, then you're not going to.
You're not gonna get his vote, yeah. So, for all you programmers out there, which is usually most VGM members, have a programming plan. So at the end of the day, if things go bad, you can usually find shortcuts or take assets from free sites to kind of replace some of the things. For art, you can probably just steal art. Don't do that, please. Don't actually do that. Music, you can probably just find some royalty-free music online. For sound effects as well, VFX and UI, in a way, yes, but not too much. But there's no substitute for your code. I don't care about this vibe coding crap that keeps floating around. No, there is no substitute for your design or your code. ChatGPT, quote unquote, can make a shop and a pause menu, but it cannot make the great from Nava pen mechanic code base. It can't do that because at the end of the day, if your game can be coded all in ChatGPT, then is it really a game that people want to work on? So understand that you should still have a programming plan. That doesn't mean you have to be someone who's really good at programming. That's fine. You can just find someone that's good at programming. Whether or not they're your sub lead or just you yourself, that's a different story. But again, understand that AI, there's an AI section here as well, but like AI is not a substitute for your code and for anything, and you can't just steal it from online, from a GitHub online. You gotta do it yourself. So know your limits. So just because you are a programmer, let's say you are a CS student, that doesn't mean you are a great programmer. I include myself in that category. So if you don't feel confident in your programming skills, you can find a lead programmer, and you probably should find a lead programmer. They don't have to be a lead or a co-lead or a sub-lead, but they should be someone that you should rely on. Yes?
Speaking of live recording, I've seen it as a team lead and as a lead program. I have seen some vibe coding commits.
Yes, so we have reached a point. This is the boomer in me talking now. We have reached a point.
We're the same age, John.
Yeah, and you are also a boomer. We are probably going to get more and more members who vibe code a lot, especially with the newer generation. So understand that you should still have a basic knowledge of programming and have a programming plan whatsoever, and can still do the programming yourself or find someone who specializes in programming themselves.
There's ways we like code.
Yes. Again, ChatGPT is not your friend or your answer. In a more boring note, documentation code architecture plan is good. It will become very outdated. I've seen every VGDev game that had a really detailed code architecture plan completely invalidated after the second week. So it's more about showing off your, so we do ask for, if you give us a code documentation plan in your pitch interview, that's good. For me, like, I want to see that, but it will become outdated. It's mainly showing us that, okay, if you were able to kind of organize and adjust things based on the road situation that you have right now. So can you direct people in terms of like general like coding questions in C# for a particular task? Like 2340 is a great class. It's poorly taught in my opinion in this college, but it is a good class in kind of teaching you the kind of the attitude around documentation and code architecture. Like you don't have to give me your grasp principles or anything like that, but it is a good way to kind of have a plan so that you can sort things out. Yes?
As long as your programmer knows where everything is and where to point people towards when they have to do a task, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how well it's documented, as long as you know where everything is.
Yeah. As long as you tell someone, hey, this is what you can do, then that's all you need to know. Okay, now the debate of co-leading versus solo leading. So there are usually two ways to kind of do leading in this club. You can do it by yourself, or you can find a buddy. So we'll go through the pros of co-leading first. I'm guilty of this because I've only co-led both my games. So why do we co-lead? It could be a good way to split the workload. Sometimes doing the entire game by yourself is kind of hard. Having a buddy kind of helps split the load, and you don't have to come up with the idea together. You can have two different ideas and combine them together. That's why I did from both my games. Or you can, kind of have a general idea you want to do, but then you don't really know how to flesh it out. Both of you can help flesh out the idea into a more proper game. Can pick up slack when one lead is overwhelmed with school or work. This will happen a lot. Sometimes one of your co-lead will be like, oh, I can't work this week. Can you just run the meetings this week? Or can you help me with this while I take a break for this past week? It's good to help each other kind of pick up the slack so that you can be an anchor while the other one is recovering from like Hell Week or something like that. Different technical and leadership skills. So for me, I can't draw. I can barely 3D model. So a co-lead that is an artist is really good in my situation because I can then know, okay, I can handle this, he can handle that, we can split up the workload like that. Also, it's a good way to make a new friend. So you want to find friends here? Try finding a co-lead. It's a good way to make a new friend. Easier to stay motivated? Well, that's also true because, again, you're not by yourself, so you have someone else to be like, hey, we got to go, we have 5 weeks till M2, come on, we got to do this. It's a good way to kind of stay motivated and be like, okay, we still need to lock in and work on more of the things we need to do. And then this was here before. Recent trends have shown co-led games are marginally more successful than solo-led games. I want to emphasize marginally. That doesn't mean they are better games. I personally think solo games are better in most cases because they just have more charm to it. Which gets me to my cons list. So, one of the biggest cons of being a co-lead, too many cooks in the kitchen. 2 co-leads is recommended. You better have a good argument for 3. If there's more than 3, you better be Jesus and be able to persuade me with anything. Because I have not seen games with more than 3 co-leads do well. So, unless you have a really good argument for having more than just 2 co-leads, do try to limit it to 2 if you need it. There is the path of you could have like 2 co-leads but multiple sub-leads. But again, even in that scenario, that's still too many leads. Don't try to go about the quote-unquote 2 co-lead limit by saying, oh, we'll have 2 co-leads and then 3 sub-leads. That's still 5 leads. Like, think about how you're subdividing the work in a sense as well. You could have 2 co-leads and 3 really passionate people on your team. That's different. Because what leads do is they have a vision and they build towards that vision. Sub-leads are not co-leads in that sense that like they're a part of the vision. They're mainly there just to like get people on board and everything. But that's still more middleman management there that the co-leads would not be doing. And if the co-leads don't know what's going on with the members, then how can they know what's going on? So yeah, don't play test. Don't try to have too many leads in the kitchen. The playtesting trap is this doesn't really happen that much, but basically don't just play test with your co-lead. It's as useless as playtesting with yourself because again, the people who know the game best are you yourself. So if you want to know how this game really feels like with other people, have playtesting events with other people besides yourself or your team. Complacency is only asking the co-lead for effort for feedback. Again, you don't know, you and your co-lead yourselves don't know what's best for your game. Ask other people. And clashing personalities, this hasn't happened too much, but this is always a possibility where you will butt heads under pressure, you will have different visions, and you will disagree a lot. Just because you have good social chemistry does not mean you are good team leads. Those are 2 different things. And let's be honest, most of the times you and your co-lead are going to clash sometimes or frequently. Because if you've never had a problem with your co-lead, please date them. That's from Alex. Yeah, because there's no way in VGDev that you will have a co-lead that you will always have no complaints whatsoever or no clashing in terms of vision or task. 2 times team leads does not mean 2 times scope. So your co-lead is more polished than anything else rather than doubling your vision or doubling the size of the game. And I added this one, more likely for vision to suffer. This is something I have felt in recent years, is that with 2 co-leads, the games become more like, not like specific vision focus. It just feels like more generic than anything else because sometimes you're like reducing the game to kind of fit both styles. But a solo lead, because they have one passionate vision, it really feels like, oh, this is one person's great idea. So that's something that always keep in mind. Like if you have a passionate idea, consider being a co-lead with a sub-lead, or a solo lead with a sub-lead, than 2 co-leads because you have your strong vision and you just need help with like the art department. I would still be a solo lead in that aspect just because then you have a stronger vision. All right, so transparency about game selection. So when leadership decides on a game, there are a variety of factors on why games are chosen. So if you do not get chosen, it's not because we hate you. It's because there are so many factors that we have to think about when we select games. So the first thing is, how good is your game idea? So if the game is either too simple, too out of the ordinary, like you want to make Skyrim, or if like there's just nothing much to your idea, then we might not pick you. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm not sure if my idea is good. Still pitch it to us, because just because you don't feel confident doesn't mean it's not a good idea. But understand that could be one thing that we pick. Another thing is scope. Could this game be done in a semester? Can you strip the game down without removing the core part of the game? Basically, a low floor, high ceiling game is kind of something we keep in mind in terms of picking. Team lead experience and preparedness. Has this person been in a leadership position before? Or is there a design technical documentation? Basically, have you been a part of the club and have you done leadership? It doesn't have to be VGDev leadership or club leadership. It could be, oh, I used to lead the math team. That was something, because with things like that, you are in charge of other people. So that kind of producer mindset is still kind of ingrained in you. Understand this though, just because you just joined the club doesn't mean you can't be a team lead. We've had team leads who in their first semester were already a team lead. So, don't be scared or don't think that you can't be a team lead because you're in your first year or your second year. You can still be a team lead. As long as you have the vision and have the general ideas we want, then you're all set. And also game diversity. This is probably the biggest factor in how we choose games. The other three are obviously ideas we keep in mind, but this is kind of the last one's kind of the biggest one. We want a variety of games. For instance, like this past semester, I won't go more into depth about this, but we had 3 different cooking games. Yeah, we had three cooking games. So we can't put 3 cooking games in the same semester. So we obviously have to cut some of them out. And that's just because the games are too similar to the point where we don't want to split the membership more. We want to give variety so that no matter who you are in VGDev, if you want to make a 2D game, a 3D game, an Unreal game, a Unity game, a Godot game, a Rust game, you can find the game style and engine and play style that you want to pick. It could be pixel art, it could be vector-based art, it could be 3D art, all that stuff, yeah.
Is that why the theme this semester was cooking?
No, we decided that before.
Yeah.
No, when we got 3 cooking games, we were so surprised. There was no, I was surprised. What? Yeah, and we decided the theme of the semester way in advance, but yeah, so. So yeah, we were surprised. What are you doing? Another thing we look at is, has this idea been done before? Not just in real life, but also in VGDev. So if you pitch us a 2.5D action-adventure game with a pen drawing mechanic, well, we kind of already did that before. If you pitch us a city-based building game in Godot, well, that's already kind of been done before. If you pitch us a marine life-based rhythm game, that's kind of already been done before recently. For instance, we hadn't had a rhythm game before Basics in fall 24. We hadn't had a rhythm game for 3-4 years. Yeah, Factor Rhythm. Okay, 2 years. Oh no, the VR game. We hadn't had a VR game since the semester for 4 years. Yeah, that was 4 years ago. It's 2025. So yeah, again, you are technically more likely to get picked if your game idea, style, pitch is unique or something that's not really known. If you pitch us a 2.2D platformer, that is probably, actually we haven't really gotten a lot of 2D platformers. If you want to pitch us a 2D platformer, go for it. but yeah,
R.I.P. Alex Michael, who would always come up with a 2D platform.
Yeah, understand that when we for every semester when we reveal the new games of the semester, we always try to go for diversity first and foremost, because if 2 games are too similar, then you're gonna get clashing. The games are gonna be too similar. We want different ideas to show off that VGDev is more than just making 2D games. We also make 3D games. We also make shooters. We also make platformers. We also make roguelikes. We also make puzzle games. We do a lot of things. And we want to have everyone here, because not everyone here likes the same games, but they want to work on their games that they want to make. We try to satisfy everyone in that sense. It is not easy. Each pitch takes a total about 3 to 4 hours to review. This is not a joke. And this past spring, okay, let me tell you the process of what happened. Okay, I'm going to go on a little rant here. So in the fall 2024, we didn't get that many pitches at first. In the spring 2025, we got 15, 16 pitches. So 3 to 4 hours each. You can do the math. The Word doc was long. Yes. So it does take a lot of time from us to do pitches. That doesn't mean don't pitch. We would rather do way more pitches than way too little pitches. Because if we have to way too many pitches, that makes it easier for us to be okay, then we can work with this. If it gets too little pitches, then we're okay, what do we do now? There are only 3 games. Uh-oh. Help us. But yeah. So that doesn't mean don't be a pitch. Just understand that we do take your game seriously. No matter what idea you give us, we will treat it as if any other game. So don't think that because you have a little goofy idea, we're not going to treat you seriously. No, we will. We will treat you as honestly as possible, and everyone has a fair chance of being in the next semester. Everyone will be selected. Everyone has a fair chance of being selected. So we have a reading forum. We have pre-interview notes. We do the interview. We take notes afterwards. We do revision and follow-up, and then we all meet together as leadership to kind of pick the games. So it's not good for us to reject good pitches. We did have good pitches this past semester. We had some good pitches that we unfortunately had to say no to because you can only there's only 6 slots and 15 pitches. So that was the biggest loss, honestly. Elliot. I felt so bad, but yeah, understand it's not fun to reject pitches. Just so that we do take the pitch process seriously, and that we will treat you fairly. So don't think that because you are a 2D game with a very simple idea, that means that you're not gonna get picked immediately. Or we're not gonna do the Java interview process of immediately reject the AI immediately rejects it. No, we don't do any of that. We actually do read it detailedly, and we try to make sure we understand your game first. And during the interview process, if we have questions, we will ask you the questions. We want to know about. The interview is not a place where we decide whether to accept you or reject you. It is where we ask you questions because we want to know more about your game more than anything else. So a word of warning. So that doesn't mean there are not instances where we instantly say no to your game. So instant turnoffs, monetization. Don't try to make money. You could we've had some of these, but if making money is the main reason why you're here, go somewhere else. We're here to make games and be as inclusive as possible. That's why we do not have dues. And even though funding has been an issue with us, we will always try to keep the vision of no dues. We use free software, and we try to give you as much resources as possible with what we can do. So because of that, monetization is not something we want to instantly think about when you're making games. The other side of that is, let's say you make a game like Slider or Nava that goes beyond the semester of a VGF semester. Then we can consider that. But the reason why monetization is not good is, one, don't try to make money off volunteer work. That's scummy. Don't do that. Second, taxes. You have to file taxes if you make money. And it is really annoying to do the contracts, the signing, and all that. I know that because I'm still doing that for Nava. So don't keep that in mind on why we have an initial dislike as leadership for monetization games. The second thing is if the game is basically done. Let's say you have a game that's so good that you could release it on itch or Steam. Well, why are you here? People are at VGDev, we want to make games. We want to just do bug fixes and patching minor things. We want to make games from scratch to release. So if the game is basically done, no. If there's any AR art in the final product, okay, I say okay for concepting, but please don't. If there's any AI art, your game rejected. I'm just saying that off the bat. Find an artist. We have so many artists in this school and in this club. Use general chat, use social chat, ask for help. Don't be embarrassed. I'm hey, I need to find an art sub lead. Who wants to work on a game with me? Ask in general social. We are more than happy to do that. We might actually want to make a channel just for finding members. Yeah.
Also, you can also just go on Google or Pinterest and look those up. Most artists are a lot of games just come up with a artist.
Yeah.
You don't need an AI.
For concept art, you just need references and concepts rather than your actual art in the game, because that's something you will work on during the semester. Yes.
Just seriously go into one of the channels in VGDev and just be like, hey guys, I'm trying to make this type of game. I need some art for this done. And you will get 3 to 4 responses. I know for back to basics over the summer, I was I have zero clue what I'm doing with art. I'm just gonna ask in the channel. I had 3 different people be like, hey, I'm really interested in this idea. What do you want? Just ask.
Yeah. Understand this. I'm also guilty of this. People are nervous. People are not antisocial, but they're more they don't want to be the one. They don't want to be proactive and actively talk to people and all that stuff. People are more into themselves and kind of close knit. So you be the person to actively start the conversation. Don't be expecting people to come to you. You have to come to them.
Also, good experience for leading.
Yes. If you're a lead that asks your members to come to you, well, guess what? You're not gonna get any members then. You have to be the one to you don't have to be an extrovert, but like you gotta be the one to initiate conversation. But yeah, AI art, no, absolutely. I'm not an artist. I hate AI so much. ChatGPT AI for coding. Like I can't know if you did use ChatGPT code when I review your game, but like try not to. Like your members might use it, and you have to accept what you get. But like we really do not want to use AI in this club, at least until I'm here. So don't use AI. Try not to use AI. Something to be cautious of. So these are not instant turnoffs because again we do sometimes accept these games. But keep in mind that these are something that we try to be cautious of, and we will let you know ahead of time if like, oh, is this a good idea or not. If your game requires special hardware, so VR, mobile, or any alternative control like a fighting game stick or any of that sort, it's slightly harder to kind of justify that because we would need to find resources for you for that. That doesn't mean don't pitch us a VR game or AR game or a mobile game. We haven't had a mobile game in so long. I think the last time we had a mobile game was like 2018. So if you want to pitch us a mobile game, that's perfectly fine as well. But understand that like sometimes like unless we kind of ask you to know what you're doing if you're doing that case because we kind of leadership here is kind of built around like PC games and like Unity, Unreal, and Godot first because that's what we're more experienced with. But if you have more experience with the other ultimate controls like VR, then go for it. Multiplayer games, this usually is because of online co-op or online multiplayer games because you have to set up the server and like the connection and everything, and every single multiplayer game pitch has spent at least 4 weeks trying to figure out how to do the server side connection. So okay, well most part. So understand if you're doing multiplayer like local or something like that, like it's still something you have to work around. So make sure you know what you're doing essentially. These are basically like know what you're doing. These are not like no's, but like we do ask you to take more like show us that like okay I know what I'm doing, but so like I can help others do that because these are not things that people can know by themselves. Someone has to teach them. Yeah. Burger King foot I actually don't know. I think Alex put that in. I just didn't turn that off. Oh, red flags. Single pillar games, basically a game that relies on one complex core system that isn't expected to be finished until after M2. Basically, like if your general game mechanic is not done, it cannot be done before M1, then your game is too complicated. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to do that. Let's say you could have the core mechanic's already done before like pitch. Like you pitch just the core mechanic, it's super complicated, but you already got it done. So that's good, you got a good head start. But just know that people need to be able to understand what they're working with. So if it's super complicated, then understand that you're gonna be teaching a lot of people about that. Million pillar games, basically games that have so many different interaction systems that must be seamlessly integrated. I call this the Mario Party games. Basically so many types of gameplay in one game. Again, this is not a turn down or red flag, or it's not like a instant like turn off, but like understand that. Do keep in mind that we will ask questions about that if you do pitch a game about that. That doesn't mean don't pitch it. Just understand the problems that could arise with that. This is a good schedule for the semester. So in M1, you do the onboarding and the setup, and then you pick your sub leads and you figure out your meeting schedule. In M2, that's when the core of the game is done. This is where the bulk of the work will be done, and you make sure that your playtest is meaningful. In M3, you will address the M2 feedback, design and running cutoff, rework ideas. In the final demo, bug, fixes, polish, integration, and assume that everything will be on fire because I don't know if the team leads right now in the room are going chaos or going crazy right now with their games, but you should be. M4 is coming up. But yeah, understand that ultimately, like, you have a good idea of what the horse you're going to make. It's almost there, but then, oh, something bad happened, and now it's a boat. There are 3 types of pitch interviews. Basically, this is not really that kind of relevant, but it is something that we do keep in mind is some pitch interviews can go 3 ways. You can have the stand check interview, basically from your pitch interview, pitch doc. We kind of have a great idea what your game is about, and it's very feasible as a VGDev game. Basically, just asking you questions, just getting a vibe check on you as a team lead, and if you can demonstrate that like you can lead a game. The standard interview, that's very rare though, because the standard interview is your game is probably overscoped. Most people overscope their games, and that's fine. My games were all overscoped in the beginning. So this is a good place where you can descope during the interview and be like, okay, I understand your feedback. I'm going to keep that in mind when I redo when I plan for the semester. And you have a demo that shows some key aspects of the game, but yeah. And then you have the exploratory interview. Basically, the game's identity and the vision isn't fully developed. There's so many major design decisions that you make during the interview. Like you change your mind, or like there's some like critical decision, like so many decisions that like you make that you're very wishy-washy. Like you don't know what you're doing. Well, that means your vision isn't really set in stone. So, especially when you have an unrealistic timeline, like that's something that we are concerned about. And your demo does do enough to increase the confidence in the game's success, but it's overly complicated and you cannot descope. So again, if you pitch us Tears of the Kingdom 2, like that's going to be one of these exploratory interviews. So what do you do if you are rejected? So unfortunately, this is very common because we just have so many pitches. Don't be discouraged. Just because your game is accepted doesn't mean you're bad. It's because there might be tough competition. Sometimes there's 15 pitches in a semester. That's good to have, but for you, you might feel kind of deflated over that. But don't be, because sometimes your game was just unlucky. In this semester, there was like 3 games that had the same idea. We could only pick one, and unfortunately, yours was picked. Leadership can give more detailed feedback afterwards. So if you have questions like, oh, why was I rejected? Always reach out to us. We will give you feedback as much as possible so you can try again next time. So what some possible options are, you can still continue development and repitch. Don't do too much because, again, if it's a finished game, then it's not really fit for VGDev. You can just find a new game idea and pitch that to us. Or you can also gain additional experience by working on the current VGDev games no matter what in game jams. This is a good way to get experience because that means you become more involved in the club. People know who you are, so you're more likely to have that kind of, hey, I am this person. You know who I am. Here's the game I want to pitch, and you're more likely to be more successful the following semester. Okay, don't try to be like Slider. What I mean by this is don't let your VG game be more than just a VG game from the bat. This is not phase 1 of a 4-year development cycle. You are not using VGDev as a way to kickstart a development for your indie company. Members should get value out of the game, the whole game they're working on right now, and not as just being slave work. After the VGDev semester is over, that's when you can decide. Not to like, let's say you're working on a game right now, but you want to decide on if you want to keep working afterwards. No, this is not the time right now still. You decide that after the final demo, because that's when the whole process is done, and you're like, okay, should we keep working on this? So you probably want to move on, and that's usually the case with most games. Is that like you finish the semester and you're like, okay, I'm kind of done. I want to either work on something new, or I want to just chill out. That's usually the common response after a VGDev semester. So again, don't think you're held onto a game for a full semester. That's actually why we like having different games every semester. You can work on a game in one semester, but then you know that after the semester, you can just stop there. There's nothing holding you down or stopping you from just moving on after the semester. And by the way, most VG games don't really need to have extra work afterwards. Most VG games are very well made and well polished, and I actually do appreciate just how great the games we've been creating here in VGDev. And like, they don't need much more work if you want to have them in conventions like RecCon, DreamHack, which is this year in Atlanta, if you want to pitch for that. Southern Valley Gaming Expo, that doesn't exist anymore. Or that does, sorry, ECGC doesn't exist anymore. SFGE exists, MomoCon. All these conventions people at VGDev have shown off their games at. A lot of them didn't really need much work afterwards. So do keep that in mind. And you can always make a sequel or a spiritual successor to your game. I know people make the joke about Toonava. I don't know about that, but I could make one, but I would never go to VGDev for that because, again, do not pitch us a sequel. We want to have new ideas here. We want to start your interest in game development, not be a source of work, if that makes sense. Any questions on this slide? Yes.
It's funny that Slider is the example for this because I mean one thing that is cool is a lot of VGDev games have come from
else. So Slider was a game that was, I think it was spring 2022. And that game was a game originally by Boomo. And it became a VG game that semester. And then afterwards, they kept working on it and kept working on it. And then it's now a proper game on Steam. So yeah, we have had a few games recently that have gone past just being a VG game and into like an actual game you have to go on Steam for. That is not the expectation. Don't expect your game to always be a Steam game. That's always a dream, but understand that like throughout the VG semester you'll learn more about the idea about game development and if you want to go on that path. That's why we asked you to wait until the semester's over before you're like, hey, whoever's still interested in making the game, do you want to still work on it? All that stuff. Also, that also means like don't try to compete with actual VJ games. You know, we still want to have people be more involved in new games because we want to keep fleshing out new ideas and all that stuff. Just some miscellaneous things. What about getting people on board for pitching? You can have a few people be part of your Discord server or working on the game before. Please do not try to recruit half the club before pitching because, again, the new members will feel left out because if everyone's joining that one game, then they're like, wait, what do I do now? Most important is finding potential co-leads, sub-leads, lead programmers, lead artists, lead art director, all that stuff. Having a production or producer, not as a lead, but as a separate member role is very hit or miss, is a usual miss. So it can lead teams to focus more on games when their hands are tied, but I think it's too cumbersome for a VGD game, and that's speaking of it for me as a producer. If you want to be a producer, be a team lead. Don't be a producer in a team-led game. So yeah, it's usually a miss. Don't try to have a production role. Have tests ready in the first week, regardless of the state of your game, because a lot of people join the first week, and they'll want to have tests right now, because if they don't have tests right now, then they're not going to really be invested in your game. And also because most people have free time in the beginning of the semester, because that's when exams haven't started just yet. So they're more likely to work on getting their games that first week. Yeah, if you wait until M2 to get your members tasks, they will leave. Presentation skills are important, so you will be giving slides like how our team leads give update meetings every other week usually. So having presentation skills are good. You don't have to be an orator or a public speaker, but just understand that you will be giving presentations, so it's good to have those skills. And listen to leadership. Most of the time, we are right. And that's just because we've been through this process so many times. A lot of us are former leadership or former team leads, so we know what it felt like to be a team lead. So if you have any questions, just listen to us. We'll probably give you the best answer you can get. And a final note, focusing on quality before you even pitch is a recipe to killing any and all confidence. Let things be good enough. If your game feels it's not perfect, don't expect perfection. Because again, VGDev is a building process. It's where you can experiment. It's where you can have fun. It's where you can try to create perfection with VGDev, not by yourself. Because our goal is to connect a bunch of people who would never have met before into making a game together. That's ultimately what we do. So do keep that in mind when you are going through the process this summer. All right, I could have made this 3 to 4 hours long, but I will stop it there. So if you have anyone here have any questions about the team lead process? Yeah, check Discord. Ask on Discord. Kill you. I'm gonna actually kill you. All right. But anyways, any other questions? Any questions for team leading? Who here is interested in team leading next semester? Huh? Okay, but who here is interested in being a team lead next semester? That's good. Just say it. Wait, so raise your hand higher. I can't see it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're not. Go for it, yeah. Go for it being team lead, yeah. Um, just know that you can ask us questions at any time. Um, it is not a black book secret of being a team lead. We want to make it as accessible as possible. That's why we have Team Lead Workshop, is because a lot of people think being a team lead is something very hard to do. It can be, but we have the resources for you, and we try to make it as easy as possible to understand so you can get ahead of it and still make great games while enjoying being a team lead. Any other questions about the entire slide deck? All right, thank you very much. And if you have any questions on on Twitch or anything like that, do keep in mind, we'll have this slide deck and the stream posted on YouTube as well. So if you want to look back onto it during the summer, then feel free to do that as well. But yeah, the pitch form will come out on May 9th, and you'll have until the first couple weeks of August. I don't know the exact deadline, but you have several months for the pitch form. So yes. No, you're not. No. And the standard Uni version, the reason why we have a standard Uni version is because we usually get a lot of Uni games. So we want to have everyone use the same Uni version so that they don't have to download different Unis, because it can fill up your storage very easily. So we'll announce that also on May 9th as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will get onto the social.